Hi everyone, it's Cindy and welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm here today with day number 11 of Junk Journal July, and we're talking about paper samples. So I'm doing something a little bit different. I had a lot of ideas for this. I've been working on these artist sample journal books for a while, and I could be doing, like little paint samples or stuff like that, but one thing I'm always doing in the background in my studio when I'm working on things is I'm thinking about ways to do something else in the background. So one of the things that I do is a lot of eco printing and a lot of paper dyeing, and this is a boiled book. So this is a sample. I've got plans to do some spooky doll, haunted doll kind of journals eventually. I had all of these doll books that I got at an auction, and I'm sort of slowly preparing the papers for what I want them to look like. So a boiled book, the process of a boiled book, it can vary. My way of doing it can be either folded pages or full pages. In this case, I've done full pages torn out of a doll book, and I'm just going to start cutting off this yarn. And actually, I'm going to I'll talk while I'm working, but let me move two of them away because I'm just going to work on one at a time, these bundles. Okay, so this is 3 bundles of paper. 2 are wrapped in fabric and 1 is inside a book cover. These are tea bags that are left over from my boiled book concoction. So, how do you make a boiled book? Well, you use plants in between pages, and you're going to add an acid of some kind, a fixative like vinegar. You can also use some alum if you'd like. I don't particularly think you need it, but that's okay. And something rusty in a pot of water. It's best to use aluminum if you can, but if you don't have an aluminum pot, this will also be fine in steel. It doesn't matter. Flowers, and I'd say flowers will give you the most variance of color. My boiled books I process for a very long time because I want a lot of black and gray and brown. I'm going to get really messy here. This is the yarn left over. I also use that for things. So I'll set that aside. Now, this color is permanent. It's not going to come off. What I've wrapped this in is a vintage, beautiful vintage linen. Somebody's grandmother would be crying if they saw what I'm doing here, but it's going to be so nice. Okay, so let me explain the process as I go here. So you'll see this linen back here. It's got this really pretty pattern to it. It was cotton. So I've got rose petals here and leaves of all random different plants, and I've layered them in between the pages of these books. Now the process to do this can be a little tricky because the paper is going to be quite delicate once it's gone through the boil process, but you're going to get these really beautiful results. Spooky pages in this case because they have dolls on them. So let me see if I can get one up close to you so you can see that. See the doll? Now these are going to lighten a little bit as they dry. So right now it's a little harder to see the dolls maybe, but once they lighten up a bit, you'll see them. Now these pages, I don't know that I'm going to be using them in full anyhow. I'm possibly going to be cutting pictures out of them because these books were large doll collector type books that explain different kinds of dolls and their origins, their value, that sort of thing. Let me just lift this up. I've got 2 pages here. There. So what you're seeing are these lovely different colors. These are all from the roses. Also use some carnations. Okay. These are from Baby's Breath, the leaves that come with Baby's Breath. More of them. Oops. Got to kind of get a hold of the corner. Okay. Now sometimes you're going to get something that gets a little bit sludgy, like these flowers. Don't worry, because when the paper dries, that's going to rub right off. So if you have a paper that feels super delicate and you're really worried, like, oh, I don't want to, you know, mess with this too much, don't worry. Let it dry, and then you can wipe it right off. One thing I do, though, is I keep usually like a single wipe for things that I think they seem to have gotten a little too muddy. And I'll just give it a little wipe with a baby wipe to just get rid of the excess. Anything that I think I'm not going to be able to brush off because it's just gotten very muddy. It doesn't happen very often. It's just sometimes certain plants, usually certain flowers can get that way. And I use kind of an unpredictable mix of flowers this time. I source my flowers from the compost at my local graveyard. And it's approved by the groundskeeper. So nobody has to worry that I'm doing anything bad. Okay, that's better. And then we just roll these off. These are all rose petals. I don't know what kind of flower that one was, but it got a little too grungy. Okay. So it's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but I think it's also fun to see how things end up getting marked. And I do have some deliberate, you know, layout with these. I do try to like avoid, you know, the faces of the doll or whatever that you're working with. I don't try to like lay it directly over the face, but maybe at the side so that you can get some cool marks, but it's not going to block out the whole face. But like I said, these are going to lighten up considerably. This is all smoke bush. It's my first time using them in a boiled book, and I had such success with them eco printing that I really wanted to see what would happen here. So yeah, they do the same kind of webby type markings, which is cool. Okay, now this is another layer of the fabric. I separated my two layers of paper by wrapping them in this fabric, and let's see if I can just remove the fabric. The fabric's going to go through the wash, but it's going to be really nice. Let's squeeze it some of this dirty water so we can take a look at it. Oh, it's going to be so nice. It's got like shades of purple and brown and black. It's going to be really good. Excuse me. Put that over here. Oh, I'm getting so grungy. If you are doing this and you don't want to get all grimy, wear gloves. I'm not so concerned. I sometimes wear gloves when I do this. Okay. Ugh, that's so cool. So look how spooky these pages are. Whole stems of Baby's Breath. Okay. More of the smoke bush. Got some greeny blue tones. That's kind of cool. So what I might do now is continue, but I'll play some music and I'll speed things up so that you can just kind of see these cool pages. So it's the next day and I have dried and pressed these fun papers and I'm so happy with how they look. Let's take a look at these spooky doll papers. So see how the webbing of the smoke bush marked the paper? Like if you were making a journal that was like, you know, the theme of like, you know, an abandoned house, or like in my case, like, you know, a haunted dollhouse kind of, these are so ethereal and bizarre, you know, like the the end result's amazing. I mean, obviously you could use something a little bit less weird, right? Or not weird, but less what I'm doing and more, you know, to your liking. But like, hopefully you can appreciate that even if this isn't your theme, it's really interesting and fun. So you can see a leaf there. I got some really nice like yellowing, and like here's a nice example of the rose petals. So a little bit of flower right there, and what rose petals can do. They make like blacks and purples and gray. Got some more rose petal there. Really interesting. And then the coreopsis and marigolds gave me some nice yellows. They're also great for like defining the other leaves that are on the paper. So yeah, all sorts of really cool. Like, look at that. Look, she's wearing a mask. That's really neat. Like an eye mask. This one got super grungy. That can also happen sometimes. So I guess my advice is, you know, be careful how you're laying out plants. If there's an image that you're hoping to preserve, like don't put anything directly on it. Maybe go around it, like frame. If you followed some of my boiled book videos that I've done on my channel, you'll see that I've done some really nice, like I have this one picture of like a woman in front of like a moon, and then like imagine the moon is behind the face. I put flowers like or a strand of leaves like this on both sides of the moon, and they printed like in really clear gray black on the moon around her face, and it looks so cool. I still have that. I need to use it on the cover of a journal, but you know, I only have 700 million projects kind of in the queue right now, and I'm kind of slowly working on them all. Getting there. I shouldn't even be prepping materials for this because it's like down the queue, but I also wanted to use this as a way to show you something fun, and I think that it's been accomplished. So yeah, look how strange these are. They're great. So here's a rusty, a piece of rusty kind of cog that I have. I have all sorts of weird rusty bits, and see, they really will print very nicely on your paper. And there's a lot of purple in this one from the rose petals. And I'll sort of pick and choose through these which ones I want to use. I love the leaf print there. And then like some of them will get a little too dark and grungy, but most of them are fine. Like that one I probably wouldn't use because it got too much black, but you probably could use a baby wipe to remove a little bit of that, not all of it, because the color is quite permanent, but these are perfect. That one got a little too grungy, but yeah, that one I probably, well, I kind of like this one, so I'll keep that one for that image. But yeah, some cool results. We still have a little bit of leafy material left over on this one. And you know, both sides are different. So usually if one side's like too grungy, that's a whole geranium. That's fun. Then you can at least use the other side. If one side, like if this image is ruined, then you can, or say this image is ruined, then you can flip it over and find one, you know. But like I said, you can prevent that entirely if you don't do things like randomly like I did. I was very random in my placement. I love the leaves here. There's the other side of that cog. That's cool. But yeah, I just wanted to share the stack with you dry so that you could see, like, look how interesting that is. You could see these cool results. So definitely play with the boiled book concept if you haven't before. I think you'll find that you can do some fun things. You can obviously also use just plain paper. Watercolor paper also prints wonderfully. Yeah, but that's it for now for me. I will see you tomorrow for more Junk Journal January. Take care, everyone.